welcome to Hiker Homily number 25 for the week of July 2nd. We're in July. How do you like that? We're past half the year and all that kind of thing. So, Hiker Homily 25. Yes, there was not a Hiker Homily last week. Please let me explain. You know, I had this nice kind of road trip with my wife. We went down to the Central Coast, which is San Luis Obispo area, Morro Bay. Morro Bay is a little town that she and I had liked. She grew up near there. We're part of her childhood. And we both just really liked that little town. And for our 27th, 2-7 wedding anniversary, we decided to, you know, we had some other things to do, family stuff that we had to take care of. But we decided, hey, while we're down there, let's celebrate our wedding anniversary at our favorite little town. And so we did, and that was really good. And so that was like a 3-day. We went down there on a Friday and came back on a Sunday. The only thing is during that trip, my son is on a high school cross country team. The head coach was taking a group of the runners up to a special camping trip where they were going to be doing some heavy conditioning and things like that. And unfortunately, the other coaches were not available to help him out, and the trip was going to be canceled if he didn't have another adult to kind of help, you know, be there for, and just an extra adult for one thing to help out with the kids, and also a vehicle to help carry equipment and people in. So I didn't want the trip to be canceled. My son was going on the trip for one thing. He was really looking forward to it. I didn't want it to be canceled, and so I last minute volunteered to go. It was a camping trip, by the way. So I spent 4 days at total last minute camping in Henry Cowell Redwoods State Park. It was fun. It was a good camping trip. Beautiful, beautiful state park. We'll put some pictures up there. And I'm thinking about doing like a little series on just car camping and things like that, because getting outdoors isn't just always has to be backpacking and hiking. You can get outdoors and use camping as a fun vacation too. All through my childhood, that's what my father really could afford. We didn't do fancy big holidays to places like Hawaii and all over the place. With, you know, vacation time, he'd take a week in the summertime and we would go camping somewhere. And as a kid, I liked that. It was fun. So thinking about doing that, but that's why we didn't have a Hiker Homily, because I mean, literally, I got home Sunday evening, had to pack my camping stuff, get everything all recycled and packed, and like early Monday morning, like 6:30 in the morning, we hit the road with part of the cross country team and headed out to Santa Cruz until Thursday. So there we go. No Hiker Homily last week. I hope that's a good enough reason why there wasn't a Hiker Homily last week. But that's what's going on there. So off we go to I actually have a hiker topic this week, how you like. So here's our hiker topic for the week. So this week's hiker topic has been on my mind basically since the Lost Coast Trail. And that's the topic of knowing your limits. And there's some hikers right away, they hear that term and they start to groan, like, oh, you're going to talk about quitting. And no, knowing your limits isn't about quitting. It isn't about not doing things. It's about knowing what you can do right now. And if that other thing you want to do is outside those limits, then that should be an indicator to you to not just throw those limits away. It should be an indicator to you that you need to get to a level that you can do that thing. Be realistic, in other words. I could not just grab my backpacking gear right now, show up at Campo, California, and start walking the PCT. Physically, I am not really prepared for that kind of a journey. But more importantly, I think physically I could probably tough it out. You know, okay, I just got to do 2 more days and then I'm at such and such town. Then I rest for a day. And then I'll be ready for another couple of days on the day. I could tough it out probably. Mentally is huge. And for those of you who don't really know, if you're kind of hiking vicariously through folks on YouTube, and that's okay to do. I do it myself. I've been on the PCT quite a bit, vicariously through other people, and it's kind of fun to do that. Like I say, it's my entertainment. I watch that kind of thing instead of TV shows. But for those of you who do know, hiking is as much a mental thing as it is a physical thing, especially through hiking. Through hiking being the long trips where you're trying to complete a long trail. And so it's just, that's the real big thing right now. If I were to land in San Diego, California and get to Campo and start walking the trail, physically I could probably push myself to just go, because I wouldn't be under any pressure for time and things. I'd just go. The problem is this is the hottest time of the year, so starting in Campo wouldn't be a smart thing to do. It's way too hot to walk that desert right now. And also the main kind of herd of hikers is done. And so a lot of the water caches that help keep good people going, it's trail angels and stuff, they're not being replenished right now. So there's all that kind of thing. You got to know that kind of thing. But as far as physical limits, I could probably tough it out. Mentally, I am, after being away as much as I have been away, I am not in a mental state to be out there on the trail and away from my family and all that kind of thing for a long period of time. Just, no, I haven't prepared myself for that. So those kind of limits are just as important. Your mental limits are just as important as your physical limits. And that's really what I wanted to get out there was you have to prepare yourself for these things and get there. The Lost Coast Trail taught me quite a few things. And a lot of people, and you might be saying, well, you finished the Lost Coast Trail. You did it, and you did it in an okay amount of time. So you didn't go beyond your limits. No, I did. Physically, I kept pushing myself and just toughed it out. But see, that's the thing, is like I've said before, and things, I do hiking because I think it's fun. I want to have fun when I'm out there, okay? And there were points on the Lost Coast Trail that I wasn't having fun, that the beautiful views just weren't motivating me anymore. I was so stressed from the pressure of the tides coming in and hurt from this boulder tripping me and pulling me down and all that kind of thing, that there were points where I just was not having fun. I was just trudging along that damn beach and just mentally repeating the mantra, every step is a step closer to home. That's just what I was thinking sometimes. I'd say it to myself, every step is a step closer to home. And you get to that point, you're not enjoying hiking anymore. It's not a fun trip. And that means you're beyond your limits. So that really taught me there, because when we were planning that trip, I think I said it before, when we were planning that trip, I got kind of starry-eyed. I've always wanted to do that trip. It sounds like an amazing trip. And so we start talking about the mileage each day, and it's like, well, shoot, I day hike that much in a day, no problem. I can do that many miles, and blah, blah, blah. My mind blocked the fact that, you know what, a good portion of those miles are on this terrain that's really difficult. So it's not just walking down a path for 8 miles. There is no path. You're on this really hard beach, tough thing for 4 of those miles, and you've got to do it in a certain amount of time. Because that's the other thing too, is you give me a hill to climb and it's a tough hill, I'll get up there. It might take me all day. I'm going to go nice and slow. That's how I got my trail name of Glacier, is, I keep moving forward. It's not fast, but I keep moving forward. But there for the Lost Coast Trail, you can't just trudge along. You have to move at a certain pace, because you have to be out of a certain area before the tide comes in. And so that's what I mean by knowing your limits. If I had really thought about it, even though I wanted to hike that trail really badly, and I am glad I hiked the trail. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm happy I did it. It's an accomplishment. I'm proud that I did it. But being given the chance to do it again, I would do it differently. Let me put it that way. I'm not going to say I wouldn't do it, because I wouldn't. I still would want to hike that trail. But I might put it off for a little longer and get myself in better shape and in better mental shape, understanding. Because a lot of people, Lost Coast Trail, yeah, some of it's on the beach. That's going to be a challenge, but we'll get past that. Okay, more than half of it is on the beach. So you have to wrap that around your head, and you have to prepare for that, get yourself in shape for that. Because if I had been in better shape for that and prepared for that, I don't think it would have put me outside of my limits where I wasn't having fun. It's like, yeah, this is tough, but I'm still, because I've been in hikes before that this is a tough hike, but I'm enjoying the heck out of it. And there were parts of that, good parts of that Lost Coast Trail where this is a tough hike, but I'm enjoying it. So that's the big thing, and I think that's what defeats a lot of people on the big long through hikes. I see a lot of people on the Pacific Crest Trail that, you know, they get a certain amount of miles in and they just don't want to do it anymore. And I think that's because they attempted something that was outside their limits. They were either not physically really prepared or they were not mentally prepared. They didn't take into account everything. They didn't figure out certain things like I'm away from home for this long. I didn't think it was going to be that hard. That's an example of one of the mental challenges. You know, there's some people who's like, okay, I can do this, and then they get out there and they're on their 5th day and they decide, you know what, I really miss so and so, my family, my wife, you know, whatever. Just this is too much. It wasn't what they expected. It was a tougher feeling, and it hit them harder than they thought it was going to. Things like that. Our mental challenges. And then, of course, there's the physical challenges where they just didn't get it. Like, holy mackerel, I just figured this was going to be desert. We're going to be walking across this flat desert. But no, there's major elevation changes within the first couple of days. You're climbing hills and stuff, and then later on actual mountains. And it's you know, you have to be physically prepared for that and mentally prepared for that. So the big thing about knowing your limits isn't about, oh, that's beyond my limits, so I quit, I'm not going to do it anymore. It's about, okay, I don't think that one's within my limits, and so I need to get myself prepared physically and mentally so that my limits are moved up. That's the important thing. Don't quit, just like I'm not going to quit. I may replan some of my things, like right now after the Lost Coast Trail, and we're in the middle of the really high heat in the valley, and so if I can get out to the foothills and stuff and do some hiking and walking, I'm going to. Hopefully it'll be a little cooler, but here in Northern California, even not in the valley, we're still looking at big temperatures. That's just how it is here this time of year all over Northern California. It gets hot. The coastline's a little better, so if I can get to the coastline, that'd be great. But there it is there. But you know your limits. Get out there. Like I was saying, with the Lost Coast Trail, it kind of taught me that, okay, I'm not quite ready for that much time away, because it bothered me being completely out of contact with the family for even that week. You know, I love my family. I'm very involved in my family, and I would have at least liked some contact, and there was none. And that's how it is on some of the big through hikes and stuff. So you have to be mentally prepared for that and be able to handle that kind of thing. So know your limits. That's the big thing. And like I said, I just really want to reiterate the fact, because so many people confuse knowing your limits with don't try anything new, and that's not true. Know your limits means don't get in over your head. Do new things, but do them in a way that's not just going to sink you. You know, do them smartly. Prepare. There it is again. Be prepared. And that helps you, you know, because pushing beyond your limits a little bit is a good thing. Because that's, you know, just like, you know, oh, I can't quite lift that weight. But if you keep working at it, eventually you can lift that weight. You've gained more muscle. Well, it's the same kind of thing with your limits. It's okay, I pushed past the limit just a little bit. Oh, this is crazy. I'm a little past my limits, either mentally or physically, and things like that. But then the next time I can get to that point again. Hey, I've been here before. I conquered it. I got a little more. And so you just keep working on it that way. So know your limits doesn't mean just stop. It means understand where you're at with your limits, and if you're going to push them, be ready for that. And then that just helps you elevate those limits more. So there you go. That's my take on know your limits. It's a quick little hiker homily for the week of July 2nd. And as always, you guys can make any comments if you agree, disagree. The heck with the limits, whatever you want to say it respectfully in the comments below. You can email me at hikingforhealthca@gmail.com. You can get a hold of me on Instagram or on Facebook under those that same title. And that's about it, you guys. We will see you. It's going to be busy because I do have a backpacking trip coming up next week with the Boy Scouts. I'll see what I can do about getting footage there. I have a lot, like I say, I think I'm going to do a camping thing, so I have some footage from several camping trips I did this summer already that I think I'll put out there. I've flashed a few pictures already, and that's cool. But so I got stuff coming for the channel, and after the Lost Coast Trail and a few other things I've done, I have a lot of gear reviews that I have to shoot and get done, and I have plans for that. But I think a lot of the times, like when the winter kind of slows down the hiking around here, I don't do as much hiking in the wintertime. I'll do a lot of gear reviews then and get good stuff there. But I'll start filming them and things like that. So, hey, as always, thanks for watching. I really appreciate any of you who are paying attention to this goofy little channel. And just thanks much, and we will see you next week.